generation. We're super, super excited about it. Pause, break, cut. Okay, cool, there's the story. Hi guys, my name is Jonathan Burgess. I'm so happy to be able to kind of share with you and the calling. I'm a youth pastor. I've been a youth pastor for about 12 years. Same place, same church. The Pulse Youth Ministries at Trinity Christian Fellowship, North Glen, Colorado. I'm super excited about that, super passionate about youth. But also something that I'm involved in and incredibly passionate about is Transform Djs. Basically, we're an electronic dance music crew. We've been together probably for about 10 years in some capacity, but in about the last 4 years, we've been operating more as a band where we've been able to travel to different music festivals, different venues, different shows, and basically bring about electronic dance music, but bring Jesus with us, share Jesus, defend preborn people and other defenseless people, and lead people into worship. And we do all that with dance music, so it's kind of crazy, but we absolutely love it. And I'm ecstatic that I get a chance to be a part. If there was one thing that I could accomplish and not fail, it starts off with Matthew 25. Jesus is talking about the least of these. He talks about the poor. He talks about basically the hungry, I should say, the thirsty, those who are in prison, those without clothes, those who are sick. And when we did ministry for them or to them, it's like we did that for Jesus. And when we didn't do care for them, then we didn't care for Jesus, essentially. And I look around the world, I think, like, who's the least of these? I think about the poor worldwide. I think about AIDS victims all throughout Africa. I think about people trapped in human trafficking in Asia, and even other types of modern day slavery, like in the cocoa trade in parts of Africa as well. And I see all these injustices, and I think, these are the least of these. But there's another group that are also the least of these. I think if those people are the least of these, then by all means, this other group is the least of these. And who are they? They're an entire generation, actually about 1/3 to 1/4 of the current generation, and that's the unborn, the preborn people. And I feel like if I could do anything, I would protect them. I would put an end to abortion. But with that, what I'd love to see happen is people's hearts breaking the same way Jesus' heart is breaking. Now with that, there's a lot of times we never talk about it. We have to see people restored. And so if the fact is we can talk about it, then people will have the opportunity to be restored. And people will have the opportunity to be healed. And that's another thing that with Transform Djs we like to say is that there's no condemnation for those who are in Christ Jesus, and Jesus will heal you and Jesus will restore you. But at the same time we have to kind of draw a line and say no more going forward. And so I'd love to see preborn people defended. I'd love to see people healed and restored. And I'd love to see babies and people who are coming into this world adopted as well. So that's kind of what I'd like to do if I couldn't fail. We're working towards that end. I believe that with Christ in our heart, then we can go for that, and with Christ going before us, and there is no way that we truly can fail. One story regarding this that comes to mind, it involves my wife and myself. A few years ago, we received a phone call from a lady that we knew about her 15-year-old daughter who had kind of everything going for her. And basically she found out that she was pregnant, that she was planning on having an abortion. And in that moment, my wife and I, our hearts were just captured. It's like, what can we do? Because literally, in that moment, we had influence to save a life. And so we set up a meeting, and by the grace of God, we were able to meet with this young lady. It's a beautiful, beautiful young lady. And she literally was planning, like I said, to have an abortion the very next day or very soon thereafter. But through chatting with her and through speaking about the personhood of her child and God's creation, she decided in the end to save her child. And that's what I have a heart for, and my wife has a heart for. And we want to see that generation like Esther speaking up for her generation. We want to see our generation speaking up for this issue and for this generation. Yeah, so we would love to see an entire generation rise up to be just like Esther, who spoke up for her people. And in the same way, we'd like to see people rise up, even though it might cost everything they have, and speak up for the least of these, that are preborn people. So, just to recap, if there was one thing that I could accomplish in this life and not fail, it would be to see people recognize the personhood of the unborn, see them completely protected, see people who are abolitionists just to rise up, just like the abolitionists raised up to end slavery, that a whole generation of abolitionists would rise up to see the personhood of the unborn, and to see people healed and restored, and see God completely bless a nation because of that. And if we can do that through electronic dance music, even in some small way, then we're stoked. That's all. That's it. Party people represent. Sure.
Sweet.
All right. So if you are struggling, or maybe you might even have a crisis situation going on in your life, or you want to hear more of the same story I just talked, but from my wife's perspective, check out this next video in part 2, to be continued.